Hello, my friend. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Ben Pickard, and we're talking about program design. Very specifically, we're talking about how to unify your team around a singular principle and philosophy for how your team approaches program design. All too often, we have teams who are all doing very different things, trainers who are all moving in different directions with different philosophies and approaches when it comes to designing programs. And this is a podcast about how to get everyone on the same page to make sure you're delivering a consistent, high level, quality customer service experience for your clients. So if you want a more unified team when it comes to your program design, keep on listening, my friend. Hello, fitness business nerd. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business for Unicorns podcast. Before we jump into today's episode, I just want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Kilo. Many of you out there are probably kind of duct taping together many pieces of software to make your gyms run. You have one piece of software for booking and or billing and or program design and or lead follow-up or emailing or texting your clients or your website. And Kilo is our favorite place to go to get all those things in one place. Kilo is like really your one-stop shop for website and marketing automations and lead follow-up and booking and billing. And so if you want one place that can truly do it all for you, go talk to our friends at Kilo. Link is down in the show notes. It's usekilo.com. Let them know we sent you. We're not just a promoter here. We've been using them ourselves for years. Ben, also on the podcast, can talk about his experience using Kilo. We really do use them, and we think they are the best out there at the moment. So go check them out and get yourself a Kilo website and a Kilo account. You won't be disappointed. Ben, what's your experience been with our friends at Kilo?
Well, Kilo does all BFU's website and everything
Yep.
behind the scenes, and it's been great. I mean, shout out to Tom in tech support. Tom is
Yep.
my man. Not only is he Canadian, but I will come to him with the most complicated, +1 for that. But
Yep.
I will come to him with like the most specific questions about this like very kind of high tech thing I'm trying to do.
Yep.
And not only do I get an email response in like typically under 24 hours, if not like 12 hours, when the shit hits the fan, he gets on a call with me.
Amazing.
In addition to, yes, don't make your own website, professionals do a way better job. And yes, you should have automations because it will get back to people faster than you ever can. And yes, it will simplify your life. The testament to me of a good company isn't how good are they, it's what do they do when something goes wrong.
Sure.
Because let's be real, things are always going to go wrong. And my experience has been like 10 out of 10. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tom?
That's amazing.
I bet he doesn't listen to this podcast, but he's
great. Shout out to you, Tom. Hopefully someone sends it to you. Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. Well, let's talk about today's topic. So today's topic is really a challenge I think most gym owners struggle with at some point if you have a team. If you have a team of trainers, at some point you're going to run into a trainer who kind of wants to go rogue. And they go rogue when it comes to program design, where maybe they took a certification last week or took a new workshop or read a book. Now suddenly they're coming in and wanting to do all kinds of new shit with your clients that y'all maybe have not approved of or never done before. Or maybe you're hiring a trainer who's come in with lots of experience and their approach to programming and frankly, just exercise science in general is just different than yours. And there'll be some friction. And oftentimes, it's really up to the owner to really decide what is our approach here. How do we kind of break the tie amongst the team, or decide what are we going to allow on the training floor? What is our real approach to program design? And what are the things we're not going to allow? Where are we going to draw the line around this issue? I know we experience this a ton at Mark Fisher Fitness from time to time. We have plenty of trainers come through and want to really challenge our current systems and try and add things. And it was tough at times to really kind of lay down the law and find an approach that made everyone happy enough to be on the same page about. What about you, Ben? What's your experience on this topic?
Same thing. I mean, we started with no systems whatsoever for programming other than just like I hire people who believe in like kettlebells, barbells, etc. And then it's like, write a good program. That was literally day one. Day 10 or day whatever of year 10 is drastically different because we encountered a lot of road bumps, and there's nothing worse than being like, I don't know what that exercise is, man, when you got lying on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst moment, is that other trainers who didn't know those exercises. We have such egg on their face. They're pulling out a program that someone else made or had an influence on, and they're pulling up this exercise. Like, what the heck is this? And they feel like they look so dumb in front of a client. Then the client's getting told different things by different people, right? It's just a real recipe for like not a great client experience. Also a recipe for team conflict, right? And so I think, making sure that you have a real unified approach to program design, I think is pretty critical series of systems to have in place. And so what we want to share with all of you today is we actually have a tool that helps guide you, our Unicorn Center members, in this direction. It's called the Program Design Pyramid. And so we're just going to go through some of the core questions that are kind of embedded in this pyramid, because I think these are the core questions you want to ask yourself and have an answer for so that you and your team can stay aligned on what your approach is to program design. Do you want to kick us off, Ben? What's one of the first most important questions to ask here to get everyone on the same page about program design?
The first one is the doozy, and that's, what are your core beliefs about training?
Yeah.
So that's beliefs about the body, about nutrition, about movement, about achieving goals, about motivation. But it's really like, what's your philosophy?
Yes.
What do you, again, like
That's
I said,
it.
I heard people believed in kettlebells and barbells, but like that doesn't mean we aligned on everything.
Yeah. But I think you got to start at this place. And oftentimes, I think for me, this is like synonymous with like values, right? As a business, we want to hire people and bring people on board that have the same values. But also when it comes to trainers, we want to have similar philosophies when it comes to how we think about the body, how we think about nutrition, how we think about movement, how we think about what goal achievement looks like, what our role is in goal achievement as coaches, how we think about what we believe about motivation of clients. These are all essential principles that we need to be on the same page about if we're going to work on the same team to get our clients results. And all too often, I talk to trainers and gym owners who are not aligned on this. Right, where it's not, and everyone has to agree on everything, but there has to be some baseline stuff, right? For example, one of like our training principles early on at MFF that I remember, I wasn't even on the training team, but I remember them talking about many of them all the time. One was like beautiful movement, right? It's a philosophy about training. Another one was like do no harm, right? No matter what we do, we want to make sure that any decision we're making about program design is intended to like not hurt people, right? And beautiful movement was about like we prefer quality over quantity. Rather you do like 5 beautiful push-ups than 10 awful ones, right? And simple things like that really help align a team to what do we care about here, right? What are the things that matter most? Yeah, anything you would add to that?
Yeah, and this could apply to a lot of things. Like another example would be like, what's the most effective way to lose fat for your avatar?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many grams of protein per pound of body weight do you think is the right amount?
I think even
movement or muscles person. Lots of ways.
Totally. Yeah, I think even zooming that out even a little bit, it's like, okay, well, are we a place that takes like a more precision nutrition approach and we really try to have an approach to nutrition that's behavioral based? Are we one that really is going to push, for calorie deficits, right? Like, or so a little bit of both, right? Like, what are our philosophies around nutrition? I think is that's important, and we can go on with those other categories. I think we're making the point here is you got to start with what are the principles and philosophies that we follow as a team. I'll share the next one. So that was the first one. The second one that we really ask you to consider and have an answer for is we use the word approach. What is your approach to training? And by this we mean, what are the methods? What are the training methods that you use at your gym? What are the training methods you don't use at your gym? Right? What are the training methods that are absolutely banned that you will never allow everyone even to talk about, right? What are the certifications and affiliations that you encourage your team to get? So for example, at MFF, I'll talk about our classes. Our classes were really only used 3 methods. I mean, we would say here, we did bodyweight exercises. This is a method of training. We did resistance bands, and we used kettlebells. That was it. Like those are the kind of the methods that made up our classes, and nothing more. For last 15 years, there's in our classes there was never a sandbag. There was never what are those clubs called?
Indian clubs.
Yep. None of the clubs. We never hung up any TRXs. We never those are the methods that we use to help people who are in our classes. And similarly, even in our small group personal training, We didn't have every piece of equipment under the sun because we didn't believe in every piece of equipment under the sun. For most of our 15 years, we didn't even have like a single cardio machine, not a bike or a treadmill. All of our finishers were, things like battle ropes and, things like that. And so all that points to there's some specific methods, some specific certifications, specific, things that we believe in training, and some that we were like, no, we'll never do that here. Yeah. How do you all approach that, Ben?
Yeah, I'm very similar. We're basically quote unquote functional, free weights, TRXs, bands, open space for body weight stuff.
Yeah.
But I will add to this, like, there's going to be a circle of all the things that you believe are effective. Yeah. And then there's going to be a circle inside that circle of all the things that you can actually logistically do in your gym.
Yeah.
Right. You may love having some selectorized equipment, and you can think, hammer strength rows and pull downs, which I love, are a great method. But like maybe from a floor space and budget standpoint, those don't fit. So we're not just talking about like everything that you believe in or believe that could be good. It's also like, you got to decide, like, how are you going to deliver this in a way that's the most beneficial for members?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't all have 25,000 square feet and a $500,000 budget just for equipment. Like we can't be the big box gym. Doesn't mean that stuff is bad. It just means, what are we deciding to do within this business?
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I just want to call myself out here to this audience, which I think knows this already, but I'm not a trainer. I've never been a trainer. So when I think about these questions, I think from like straight up like outsider monkey mind perspective, which is, if I'm a trainer working at this gym, how do I know which certifications and continuing education is going to help me here, help me grow and keep learning, and which I should really avoid, because we actually don't prescribe to that kind of training here. That's really useful, right? And if that's all you think about when you think about what your approach is to training, is like what certs you want your team to get and which ones you would not be willing to pay for, I think that's really useful, right? It's a good place to start. It's a good place to start.
Hey there, Business of Unicorns podcast listeners. I'm just making absolutely sure you have already gotten your free, instantly downloadable copy of my new book, The Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets. You can find a link to download it in the show notes, or you can go to gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. I worked super hard to make sure this is a less than a 30-minute read and is a comprehensive overview of all the things you need to do to grow your gym, get more leads, more clients, and importantly, change more lives. Again, find the link in the show notes, where you can download your free copy at gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. And now back to the podcast.
Yeah. All right. So the first question, what are your core beliefs about training? Second question, what is your approach to training? What methods you use and not use? What's the third question in here, Ben?
What is in your exercise library? What exercises do you do? What exercises do you don't do? How do you handle progressions and regressions? How do you handle adding exercises to the library? And how do you handle removing exercises from the library?
This is where a lot of the rubber meets the road, right? This is where a lot of the tension appears with teams, which is like, oh, I just learned this new way of doing these things. Can we add them to our programming? And there has to be a process for that. How do you all handle this? I know you all went through a moment a while back, Ben, where you all really created an exercise library and have tried to stick with it ever since. So tell us about that.
Well, the long story short is, we had a list, and I think the process was, if there even was a process, was if you put it in a program, also put it on the list.
Yep.
Anyone could add
anything at any time. That's a process, right?
Anything at any time. And most importantly, they didn't have to tell anyone that they did it. So you would put an exercise in the library for the program you wrote for Bob. And I didn't know that you did that. And I didn't even know Bob got a new program. And he comes in and trains me on Tuesday. And I'm like, what the hell is that exercise? And I have to make a way of not looking like an idiot, but not throwing you under the bus.
Yeah.
Now we don't use an app. We still use Google Sheets for programming, which kind of falls into, where do you want your exercise library to be? Now we have a process that if you want something on the library, we overhauled the whole thing. If you want something on the library, you have to like petition it with the rest of the coaches. Yeah. And ultimately it's my call. I mean, I'm not just going to trump everybody for the sake of doing it, but we're really trying to think of it like from the lens of, how is this helping our clients get results better? Is it better? Is it safer? Is it, easier to set up? Yeah. What's the nomenclature we use for it? We even went through a phase of like not calling things tall kneeling or half kneeling. We call them 1 knee down or 2 knee down, because as someone who's not in the industry, 2 knees down is pretty self-explanatory, but like, what the hell is half a knee? And
Don't
again,
make no
stupid
sense.
little thing,
Yeah,
but
it
that
doesn't
made a
make
big
sense.
change for our clients.
Yeah. That's a perfect example of like why this matters, right? Is that we have to be on the same page about these are the exercises we use. If they're not on here, we don't do it. And if it's on here, we've all agreed that it's on here and we've all been trained to do what's on here. We know what it's called and we know why we added it. We added it because it's going to add more variety. We added it because it helps people with injuries. We added it because it keeps people safer. We added it because it's challenging for XYZ kind of person, right? Like that's really important to making sure we have a consistent, high quality client experience and people don't have egg on their face by having some random exercise that they don't understand show up one day. It's just not a cute look. It's not a cute look.
No.
No.
And it's also, I found this to be the hardest step because I can
Yeah.
make a case. I'm pretty good at playing devil's advocate when it comes to exercise, and I'm not that dogmatic or precious about really anything.
Yeah.
This is where you got to be willing to kind of kill some of your darlings. Like some stuff, like Turkish get-ups are great. Are they a great fit in a large group class? I don't know. They're high coaching demand, easy to screw up. Like that's one cherry-picked example. But this is where you got to be really willing to just like cut some stuff for the sake of the coaching experience, not just like, but that exercise could be really good for this 1% of the population that might come in. It's like,
Yeah.
is that really the only exercise we can do for that person? Like, come on, trainer. We can probably find an alternative.
We can probably do another one. Yeah. Somewhere on this list is something that does the same exact thing. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also a moment to really teach your team about like the concept of like learning to like disagree and commit. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We may not agree on this, but we're going to have to, at some point, the owner or the fitness director is going to make a call, and you might not agree with every call about what gets added or removed from the library here. And your job is just like, okay, voice your disagreement, but you might need to commit anyway, because this is the library we all have to work with. I think that's a useful skill for teams to learn, is to say, well, we might not get your way, but at some point we have to say, okay, well, I'm still on this team, so I have to agree and just commit to delivering the best possible sessions. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. So we got, what are your core beliefs about training? What is your approach to training? What's in your exercise library? Question number 4 is, what's your proven process for writing programs? And I specifically put in here, what's your proven process? Because ideally, you've been writing programs for a while, and you have some real preferences that are based on your experience. You know what works and what doesn't work for your clients based on their goals, based on their preferences. And so, the things that really matter here to answering this question are, do you have some shared program templates? Are your trainers or your team working off templates? Is there some sort of captain of creating those templates? Is it someone's job to create and maintain the standards that are in those templates? Is there an SOP for using those templates, for coaching those programs, right? Have you made it clear what your process is at your gym for writing and using programs? And all too often, this is like, like we've all started out, we're all just kind of winging it at first, right? Whether it's an app or, spreadsheets. We also had printed out pieces of paper and spreadsheets for a long time at Mark Fisher Fitness. And while there were templates, it was still a little bit wild, wild west, right? People were kind of using templates, but still a lot of rogue stuff would swim in there from time to time and sneak onto those programs. So who's responsible for creating the templates, maintaining the quality control, making sure people know how to record the sets and the reps in a session? Is the trainer doing it? Is the clients doing it? If there's an app, there's a whole nother set of things you need to decide. But if you're not clear on these things, again, you're just contributing to confusion and making a less consistent experience for your clients. So being clear about how program design and how templates or the design process itself works seems pretty mission critical. Yeah. What's your approach been to this, Ben?
Yeah, just plus a million. Again, broken record, but this is also a kill your darlings element because there's a lot of ways to write a good program and only a handful of ways to write a terrible program in my experience. Mm-hmm. And some of it is just being like, it's not even what's the best. It's what's the approach that we're committing to.
Yeah.
Right. And that might just be, people train 4 days a week. We move to an upper lower split. And here's what those templates look like. Do we do power first? Do we do a main lift first? Do we and I don't want to get into the nuance of what's actually better or not, but you're not really asking what's the best. You're just being like, what's the way we're willing to commit to, knowing that we're allowed to change our minds down the road. You can always add templates. You can always tweak templates, but the more you simplify here, that someone who comes from a training background, I believe that having less boundaries will make me able to serve clients better. But what actually happens when you have a team that needs to be consistent, less boundaries lead to a less consistent experience. So by having tighter boundaries, you actually get a better client experience because it doesn't seem like everything's different and everyone's flavor of programming is drastically different.
Yeah. I think that's the most important part. You've said it a few times, which is this should be simple. This should be simple. It should be easy for your team to follow these templates, create great programs consistently, right? And you want to think about here, like, what is when you're making templates for your clients, what are the things that most of our clients need most of the time? We don't want to design our templates and all these processes for the outlier cases, for the people who come in who are the most strong and lift the heaviest and they're the most extreme athletes. We also don't want to design it for people who have never worked out a day in their life before. And for most of you, your client's going to be somewhere in the middle. Right. And depending on your avatar, you might have more beginners. Like at MFF, we had a lot more beginners who did never lift like that before. So some of our templates had to be really, really simple. And so I think, the more simple you can keep it, the more boundaries you can maintain here means that you'll have just a more and more consistent experience for your clients. And your clients don't really need as much variety as you think they do. Trainers need the variety because they get bored of coaching the same things day after day, but your clients are fine. Their clients are fine with doing a lot of the same thing repeatedly. And so I think keep that in mind as well, which is maybe a whole nother podcast topic. Do you want to take us home with the fifth question here, our final question?
Yeah, the final question is, how do you ensure clients' results? How do you get them the thing they're actually paying you for?
Yeah.
So that would be looking at things like goal setting sessions, check-in sessions, maybe you run some sort of challenges, whether they're weight loss behavior, whatever, some sort of challenge, as well as some like degree of accountability coaching. And there's a million and one ways to skin this cat. But it's, again, what do you really want to commit to doing is, I'll think an example that I see because I get the ads for is F45. It seems like F45 is always running a 6-week challenge. I don't know the intricate details, but it seems like that's a core part of their retention, client acquisition, some sort of philosophy.
Yeah.
Because other gyms don't often run challenges, and they do, at one point in my gym, we had everyone do like a weekly check-in, and they would track the metrics that were important to them. I know it's not probably as common with the gyms that we talked to most, but some gyms are really weight loss driven, and it's, hey, every Monday morning you get on the scale. I'm not advocating for or against any of this, but I am advocating for that you have a system.
Yeah, because the reality is part of this is the final step in this program design pyramid for a reason. Is that if you're really clear on your beliefs about training, you have a very clear approach for the methods you use and don't use. You have an exercise library of all the exercises you and your team use with clear programs and templates for how you deliver that. Then this final question asks you, is all of that working? Right? Is all of that actually getting your clients the results they hired you for? Right. So this last question is, how are you ensuring that all of that work on the programming and the delivery is actually yielding results? And your program design decisions can't be in a vacuum. Right. You can't make them and maintain them without asking this final question, which is, are we designing and delivering programs in a way that works for our clients and the goals they have? And that's why you need something like a check-in, a challenge, and some accountability coaching, anything, because if you don't close that loop, you're just program designing in the dark, right? You're just doing what you and your team like to do, which is cool, but also that's not the end goal. The end goal is actually getting the results on the back end.
So you can do whatever training you want for yourself, but you got to do the training that gets the people to the goals who are hiring you. Those are different problems to solve.
And frankly, this is this is maybe the hardest part, this last question. And I think it's the thing people miss the most, right? Is having a process to guarantee that you're actually getting the people the results that they promise you. Frankly, it's something we struggle with in Unicorn Society for Business for Unicorns as well, is making sure that we can close a loop with all of our clients and say, are all the things we're doing for you actually helping you grow your gym, for example? It's one of the hardest things we do. Same thing at MFF. We tried a million things over the years to try and make sure that our clients were actually getting the results they wanted, from check-ins through surveys to actually calling and texting every client every quarter to a million more. So I think this is one I encourage you all to really think about, because whatever you will learn here about what's working for your clients has to kind of circle back to the top of the pyramid, right? Has to then go and inform all the choices you make about how you do program design, right? Because if it doesn't get the results, you got some changes to make. If it is getting results, cool, double down, solidify, right? But I think this is an important kind of loop that needs to be closed.
Yeah, because you might have a bias towards like sports performance or powerlifting or strength training, and you're getting a lot of clientele who are looking for like general quality of life and fat loss, just like Gen Pop to a T.
Yeah.
I generally philosophically believe getting stronger is going to help people with all those things, but like true powerlifting training is not ideal for fat loss, generally speaking. So you get to test your philosophies against the avatars that you're working with, and you're going to have different templates of programs. You might have different even methods depending on who you're working with, that like you're tailoring that to like what's the optimal way to get to this person where they want to go, rather than just like, what do I like doing?
Yeah. I think it's a good place to end things, my friend. I think that, we covered it all. I think for those of you who have trainers who are going rogue from time to time, or just a team that doesn't really feel aligned behind an approach and principles regarding your program design, I think asking yourself those 5 questions is just a great roadmap for getting really clear about how you're going to deliver the best possible client experience and deliver the best possible client results, right? Those have to go hand in hand. Yeah. Any parting words for our dear listeners, Ben?
This is kind of a big egg to crack, if that's an expression.
Yeah, it is
It
now.
is a worthwhile egg to crack. That there'll be some friction and there'll be some challenges on your team. This isn't a to-do that you're going to get done next week. But as you roll this stuff out, I guess the parting words are, if you're having some of these problems right now, they're only going to get worse as your gym grows. So the time to fix it is now.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. Awesome. Well, thanks for a great conversation. And dear listeners, if you want to level up your software game, you want to level up your website, your marketing automations, your booking and billing platform, go click the link in the bio. Check out our friends. Use kilo.com, and they'll take great care of you. You won't be disappointed. Thanks, Ben. See you on the next one.
Thank you.